All right. All right. Welcome, Midwest Conference football fans. I'm here today with the head football coach of Knox College, Aaron Willits. Today, coach. How you doing today, coach?
I'm doing great. Excited to chat and happy for the opportunity to talk a little bit about our program.
Definitely. Awesome, coach. Well, let's get right into it then. Just to reflect a little bit on that season, what were some of the biggest lessons you guys learned from that season, and how do you guys plan to apply them to achieve better results this year?
I think one of the biggest things for us last year is that what happened in the past doesn't necessarily happen in the future, right? We got to be in control of everything that we can control, and we've got to continue to put our best product out there. My first year here, 3-6, and then my second year to 5-5, and then last year to 3-7. I think with really maybe an inexperienced roster and sort of winning some games and a lot of young players as we continue to grow our roster as far as depth and the number of guys on roster and in roster size. Just the assumptions that are made because of other things that had happened in the past. And we've got to go out and play our best game every Saturday, and we've got to make sure that we're handling the things that we are prepared for and can control.
Mhm.
um, I think that's probably one of the biggest lessons that we've got to continue to carry into this, especially with another year where we're going to have a roster that's growing in all the right ways in the right direction, but is still going to be relatively young in the grand scheme of things compared to others around the league.
Definitely, coach. And just to talk about your coaching philosophy just a little bit, how do you adapt your coaching philosophy to align with the strengths and weaknesses of your new roster each year?
Well, I think it starts in the recruiting process, and so there's got to be sort of adaptability. But the biggest thing for me about our philosophy is it starts off the field, about how we're going to handle our business and the way that we're going to go about the things that we do on the field, in the classroom, in the weight room, the way that we interact with people around campus, and those types of things. And I think it's setting a very clear standard of expectation of how we're going to operate in all aspects. And so when you get guys like that, and we're looking for competitors. I tell guys straight up, we're looking for competitors, not powders. And so when you get guys that are competitors, but you're very transparent about sort of the standards and the expectations coming into it in all ways, shapes, and form, it's easier to kind of hold that standard. And that's what we're trying to do. And we're very upfront in the recruiting process about what we do, offensively, defensively. We are an option based offense. There are things that we want to make sure that we do to get certain guys the ball, and we add um, tweaks and wrinkles here or there, and need to continue to evolve. But our identity is what we are. We're not going to be a team that throws it 65 times a game. That's not us. And so making sure that we recruit kids with that understanding. We're not here to blow smoke at anybody on that. This is what we do. If given the right personnel, this is the ways that we can sort of adjust that to be better and execute a little bit more. But I think being upfront and honest also brings in the kids that want to play in that scheme. And I'm talking particularly on the offensive side. And then on the defensive side, we're just looking for guys that'll give us the effort, the will to run to the football and be able to be coachable. So yeah, there's some adjustment, but I also think that like I said, it kind of starts with how you go about the recruiting process and the transparency and the conversation that you have with guys when they're on campus and sitting in your office.
Right, right, definitely. So just to go into a little bit about the team culture a little bit, how would you describe your current team culture with the team, and what specific actions have you taken during your tenure as a head coach to improve the culture?
Yeah, I think we're continuing to grow, and I think we've got a group of guys that every year since I've been here have really bought in further to the idea that we're just going to give our attitude and our efforts and care about our execution, and the rest of it's going to take care of itself. It's about doing your job. I tell our guys all the time. I tell recruits, I'm too dumb to make this complicated, guys. It's still football. It's still a game, and it's still really is. It comes down to our attitude and our efforts, and I think when we talk about that, that's really what our guys try to do every day. And again, that's in the classroom, that's in the weight room, that's in relationships on campus, and obviously then on the field. And I think that all kind of funnels to what I said. We're looking for competitors. The ability for a player to make a move at Division III to another position or the other side of the ball. If they're competitive, like we can make that work, right? This isn't, I tell our guys, this isn't Division I, where you recruit the 6'5", 250-pound tight end. You put him on scholarship, and that's all he does is play tight end. And if it doesn't work out for him there, you don't really necessarily move him a ton because you recruited that defensive end to play defensive end. You recruited that tackle to play tackle. Sometimes things change in the Division III world. Guys get bigger. You got depth situations that happen. They grow. But the heart of it all is are they competitive enough to do it the way you want it done? And like I said, starts transparency in the recruiting process, and finding those kids that just want to play, that they love it. And then after that, it's making sure that we continue to coach them up to give us their attitude, their effort, and care about their product that they put out on the field.
Definitely. And to go a little bit about the player development aspect, what are some of the specific measures you guys use to measure player development, and how do you adjust training programs based around those metrics?
Absolutely. Player development is huge, right? We're not a transfer portal place. We're not a replace place. And what I mean by that is just strictly the recruit and replace. We're here about the recruit and the development side. Now, inevitably in the recruiting process, everybody gets replaced because 4 years down the road, guys graduate, right? And that's the intent is to get them in and get them out in 4 years. That's the overall point of Division III football, which I take a lot of pride in because I was one of those guys back at Knox, almost 20 years ago. But how do we develop guys? Well, we talk to them. And we interact with them, and we get their feedback and those types of things between myself and strength staff, and then position coaches. We actually meet with our guys 8 to 9 times a year in different conversations. Some of them are philosophical about their development and how that they're attacking their development. Some of them are particular to the on-field things. The skill sets by their position coach. Some of them are how are we going to get better in the off-season program, and then it's working to one, tailor the program to those guys, but also two, to get them to understand what the program is trying to do for them. And there's a balance in those two things. But we meet, like I said, as much as we can with these guys, and then we do a step in the process where we kind of talk about the standards and the expectations of the program and what we do on and off the field, and how we handle the classroom and the weight room. And then we ask them to self-assess and really, judge themselves on where they're at. And that comes back to goal setting. So, in those meetings, we talk about goals, and we tell our guys we're very transparent and candid with them. There's the vision, and then there's the work ethic, and there's the conversation that every player has in the office with the coach that says, hey, I want to do this, and I want to be a part of this, and I want to help us do this, and I want to win this. And then there's the actual product that they put out on a daily basis. There's the habit that's created. And so when we self-assess, we talk about the goal. Here's what you said you wanted to do. Here's how you said you were going to help our program. Here's what you said you were going to do academically. How hard you were going to work to get this GPA. And then we assess, okay, where are you at? How's that going? And so it's less us saying you're doing this or you're not doing that. It's us working with them individually, collaboratively to identify, hey, you're crushing what you said you were going to do, or hey, we're falling short. Well, then that's where we swoop in on the development side, and we say, okay, how can we help make your product better? Okay, right? We're struggling time management wise. How can we assist with that? We're struggling academically. How can we assist with that? We're struggling, position wise. Do we need to change the cue? Do we need to, what do we need to make a move? Right. And so we want to have as much conversation with those guys as possible, to assess where we're going as a program.
Definitely. Definitely, coach. And to go into that, just a little bit of the leadership aspect on your team. I think leadership obviously is a very pivotal part of in a successful team. How do you envision player leadership evolving this season based on your last year's experiences? And even who are some of the emerging leaders on the team that you want to hear, you want to see more from?
For sure. Yeah, leadership is critical. And in this environment of Division III sport, it's you got to have some player led aspects, right? The coaches are more hands off these days than even most states high school systems, and so developing those guys and teaching them how to be leaders, not just expecting it, right? But talking about leadership and talking about what that looks like and how they can grow, in differences, in leadership styles, but also differences in groups of people. We actually talk to our guys. Because there's always that group of guys in every sport, in every team, in male, female, everywhere that there's leadership. There's always that person that thinks, well, I'm not really the leader, until they have to be. And so we're trying to develop their leadership skill set all the time. But there's also a concept too where maybe there are some better leaders around, and maybe at that point you're just the best team player that you can be. You're kicking tail at being the best teammate possible because you recognize, hey, that person's leading us. And so we try to have those conversations. And I think the biggest thing for us is as far as leadership going forward is really taking that next step to we control what we can control. And I think we've got a group of fifth year guys that will be back, the last go around of the COVID experience,
Yeah.
that we've got some guys that are going to take in that opportunity to be back here eligibility wise. And I don't think that they'd be back here going into my fourth season if they didn't buy into what we're doing. And so relying on those guys to teach our young guys. But also, like I said, we're going to be about half our guys first year guys and half our guys sophomores and above, and making sure that those young guys start to recognize what we're doing, and some of that does still come from me and our staff, emulating the same thing. We don't have when I talk to our staff about the philosophy that I have, the expectations and standards that I have for assistant coaches within our program and things like that. I don't have a separate manual. Our program philosophy is our program philosophy. It's the way that I do things. It's the way that I talk to our coaches about how they should do things. It's the way that we talk to our players, and that program philosophy is shared across multiple points on campus. So that way there is no hiding, that we're on the same page as an institution, as a program, as coaches, as players, as everybody that touches us, as far as our program goes and the growth and development of our student athletes, that we're on the same page. And I think then just living that on a daily basis is a great example of leadership from us. And then our old guys doing the same thing for our young guys, and really trying to, I guess, grow, and adapt the concept of we don't do that here. And not taking something away from somebody that's new, but this is how we do it. And we don't do it that way here, or at least we definitely don't do it that way here anymore, because we want something bigger than what we've ever done before.
Definitely. All right. And just go on with that, fan and community engagement. How important is fan support and community engagement for your team, and how do you guys plan to foster that this season?
Everybody wants to play in front of more fans,
Yeah.
right? And ultimately, I think the easiest way to get more people in your stands is to win football games. And so it's funny that it all does eventually boil to that. To them, I mean, this is America. There are winners and losers, and losing sucks. And trying to make sure that fans see winning, and those fans come in all different shapes and sizes. As a school like Knox, like a lot of us in the Midwest Conference, we've got an international population that has no idea what American football is. And so it's critical for our guys to be actively engaged as students in the classroom and to build relationships. So that way those people want to come and watch us play. People that normally wouldn't be interested in football, right? They're coming for the personal relationship. As far as the community goes, it's critical for us to be out, for them to know that like we exist in Galesburg and that we exist, in the state of Illinois, and that funnels into recruiting. Inevitably, the more guys that you have from closer proximity, probably the easier it is for families to travel, for high school teammates to travel, right? Which adds fans into the stands. And we are actively engaged with multiple JFLs around here. We work with the Galesburg JFL here in town. The Knoxville JFL is about 10-minute drive from us. A little bit of a smaller community, but they're attached to an organization that runs through Peoria. And so we actually host some games on Saturdays when we're not here, and during the bye week, we host some games on Sundays. And so we are consistently trying to grow sort of our footprint and to find people that want to support our program. And that just comes back from being who we are every day, and having a lot of pride in what we do, and sharing about what we do in our program too.
Right. Definitely, coach. So last thing here for us today is just one of your what have been some of your best moments, favorite moments coaching this team so far?
Oh, I'm never one of those guys, and I think we run into them all the time, that there's two types: guys that don't have a ton of individual memories, from this one, and then there's the guys that always are like, well, in this game, on this quarter, and in this time and this yard line, I'm not that guy. I'm more of a way that guys make you feel, the relationships that are built. I think about the conversations that I've had with guys, the growth that I've seen. Guys get over some academic struggles at a really strong institution and become really successful students. I think about last year we had a young man propose and do that after a game. Also had a young man that had his first child as a senior
Wow.
at the end of the football season, and I was kind of in a really cool situation. I've got a young one myself at home, and he brought his daughter into the office. It was actually the first time I'd had players that had babies before. I've been doing this, for almost 15 years. But for him, a current player, to bring in his daughter because he was just so proud and wanted me to see and meet her and things like that. I thought that was pretty cool. But definitely, the on-field stuff is exciting. I'm not one for moral victories, but thinking about last year, the way we played Monmouth College was probably as good as we played Monmouth College for a half of football in maybe 15, 20 years. And it really, our guys bought into the day, just cut it loose and control what we can control. And we're still a ways away from that, but there was a glimpse. And I think about the wins and those types of things. And you want to get more of those, with the guys and share those moments and see the smiles on their faces and continue to see the development on and off the field for our guys.
Definitely, Coach. Well, Coach, that's all I have for you today. So thank you so much for having the time to talk a little bit about your team today.
Absolutely. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm excited, to be a part of the Midwest Conference and share what we do. And these are awesome to really get us out as a conference as we continue to try and grow and leave our footprint in Division III football.
Definitely, Coach. Well, I'll be seeing you guys pretty soon.
Absolutely.
All
If
right.
you need anything else, give me a holler. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you. Have a good one.